Hello and welcome back to OCD Coded. I'm Erin Brown. I'm a therapist and I have OCD, and we're trying to work together to figure out how to make it a superpower instead of something that keeps us stuck. Because, man, I can pretty much know if I'm stuck or if I'm doubting, then that means I am in my OCD. And I'm going through a phase of a lot of that, but getting back in it and just taking it one thing at a time. Thought today we would talk about purely OOCD, which is really hard to identify and one of the bigger ones that makes it so difficult, but it's because it's purely O as in purely obsession. But it means it's more of mental reviewing, neutralizing thoughts, and silent reassurance seeking. And so I talk about this in session all the time with reassurance seeking and what that actually means and looks like. It's almost like I need you to tell me I'm okay if I'm getting it from another person. But the mental reviewing is like I'm going over an event again and again and again, or an interaction I had with another person again and again and again, reviewing it and trying to feel better about it. And that's kind of the neutralizing thoughts. I'm trying to neutralize these thoughts because they seem so scary or bad, or they're so full of doubt and they're just paralyzing. And I find that I feel so paralyzed with even tiny decisions, but I'm just, reviewing them, trying to make sure I'm making the right decision, the kind of fear of making the wrong decision and how that might affect things. And so whether I'm reviewing it again and again or trying to neutralize it or then seeking assurance. And that's one so hard because it's like, am I seeking assurance or am I assuring myself in a positive way of in positive affirmations like I can do this? Or if I'm just going, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And that some of it is, ultimately what I've noticed is you can't always know exactly what it is. You just have to kind of try and keep going. But the biggest thing is like getting out of my head and into action. And that's so difficult too, because OCD really wants to only do the right thing. And, there's just not one way to do that. And that gets into just, I think of all the types interact and with, then there's order OCD, which is, have to do things in the right order and how much that comes into it. But then it still plays into that assurance seeking. Like I need assurance that I'm okay or that I'm doing it the right way. And just how much it's like we get that you have to do it the right way kind of impression. And then how do we, do encourage ourselves or make ourselves feel better? Where is the line I think of between when I'm reviewing something and that's healthy, or I'm trying to neutralize thoughts and that's like CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy versus and getting silent reassurance versus when it's the obsession and when it's actually not helping me. And that is where, I mean, the easiest way I've known to do it is just when I'm stuck. I can know I'm like, okay, there's OCD. And when I have doubt, because, like, I mean, of course we have doubts and it doesn't mean ignore all doubt, but I think of being able to take some feedback and review it without taking the shame and the blame and how to make that part of it and just taking it easy on myself and with others, but that just kind of letting myself have my first reaction and trying to be curious is one of the best tools that I've found with it. And so I'm just trying to be curious in this time frame too. But with those pure O or purely obsessional, when it's all in my head, and it just feels like, I can get an obsession about, oh, I'm disappointing everybody. And that's kind of close to the relationship OCD kind of piece. And it's like, oh, I, said this thing wrong. Does that person feel included? But then I want to have my own, like, experience too. And so I'm trying to like get my experience, make sure they have a good experience. And then I'm not in the experience anymore because I'm thinking about it all. And so just really, I just keep thinking, get out of my head and into action or into the moment. Like that, the moment is the only place that we have any real agency or practice. The moment is the only place that we can do anything about anything. And how much OCD takes me out of the moment. And then I spend my time mentally reviewing and making myself feel better about, oh, maybe I was in the moment, or oh, that really was a good experience. But it's just exhausting. And I just am like, come on, just be in the moment, come back and begin again and try to just be curious and notice when I'm obsessing about it, when I'm assurance seeking and noticing it from other people because I tend to see that happen, whether it's in couples or families. It's just, we want someone else to understand why something bothers us so much. And we kind of want it to bother them as much as it bothers us. But how can I, get past that where I can understand that something bothers me and I can work to not respond to it that way. I can also help but tell other people in my life to, maybe how they can help in different things too, but not expecting them to change the way they do things or to care as much about it as my OCD does, is how I think about it in my head. And so, um, being able to, I don't know, just the way we do things and thinking it's the right way. And then I think of with kids or my own kid and being able to, you know, um, be not be like this is the right way and this is the only way and be like oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, with every second, but just allow her to discover the world in her way and how much we all have struggled with that in our own um different various ways, but that's the whole point, is to keep trying and to that I have to make a mistake and get better and learn from it, and just how hard all of that gets with OCD, because I'm like, did I learn from this, did I not, like, if I keep repeating this lesson, am I the problem? Is this normal? Is it not? Just all the ways and how exhausting all of that is. And then how to get back to the moment, and how do I keep coming back here? And that some of the grief with OCD is it's never going to look quite in my head the way it looks in reality. And how do I just keep realigning to the present, is like me keep realigning to the moment and like the acceptance of this is the moment that's happening. I can just respond to it as best as I can and then respond to the next moment the best I can and try to be here now in that kind of way, and deciding, I don't like saying it that way, like deciding if I'm going to control my OCD or it's going to control me, but just thinking of it like that. I know, okay, it's trying to help. I know it's trying to help. And it's really wanting to, you know, it comes from this good place, but that it's also exhausting and that there's no way to do it all, and to have the exact perfect experience or to say the exact right thing. And it just, especially with social interactions, and I don't know if it's happening more and more because of all the different reasons, but it's just, how to just be authentic with each other and how difficult that is, but just to unmask. And that's what I find myself giving as a homework for clients and myself, is just, can I just unmask 5% more? So like, like, or can I mask 5% less? The just, it doesn't mean I have to just be like, this is me and you have to, you have to accept it, but more of just um, the like, if I can accept the thing, then it's the first step toward love. And for myself in this way of, okay, I accept and I forgive myself for having OCD. I can accept this moment as it is, and then I can transform it and change it into what I want to a point. And that's where I'm finding is like, where's that line? And with OCD, it just wants to keep chewing on the same thing or keep going over the same thing, but how to, I call them off ramps. Like, okay, I've been spinning about this thing for long enough and we were just going in a circle. Um, and it's not making me feel better uh, that the point of all of this is, me being myself but still being in relationship, and how hard that is. It feels really scary. Like, to be in a relationship, I have to give up who I am, or, to be myself means I have to be alone, and how to get more where that doesn't have to be this dividing factor between people, and how we can accept that. And but and I still am really curious about that, about where's the line between, you do you and let me do me, but when does it cross into hurting other people or not? But I just think of being able to allow each person's sovereignty in this kind of way of like, I can be sovereign over my own self, you can be sovereign over your own self, and then how do we interact from there? Um, we got a little off track from the pure OCD, but this is tends to be something that I obsess about quite a bit, is how it will go from there and how all the OCDs then blend together, because we've talked about various ones that kind of all interconnect with this, but just really thinking about the mental reviewing and how it can be fun to some extent. And I think that's part of the superpower, but just when it's no longer helpful. And that's what we're just trying to be curious about, is when is this mental reviewing, neutralizing thoughts, assurance seeking, when is it no longer helpful? And when is it time to, move to the next kind of stage? Or when is it like that? The other people in my life, we can get to a certain level of understanding. I might not feel totally understood, but that's okay too. We can still have belonging even if we're not feeling totally understood. Um, but that it's just all part of the journey. That's what I keep trying to return to is it's exhausting and it feels like it gets higher at certain points of the year. But my biggest thing, my biggest defense against it is just to be like, okay, here it is. I am doing all the reviewing. I am doing all of this. Maybe I'll do it one more time and then I'm going to do anything else. I'm going to choose any other door but door number one. And I would love to hear some of the things that you guys are maybe obsessing about or want to hear more about or different types and go over the different ones. And I really wish everyone out there all the best in this time and hope you find sovereignty and belonging. Talk to you again soon.